Hey guys, I am back. Had lunch, had done a little bit of work without recording just because circumstances. As you can see, I worked a bit here on the city skyline, which is going to help tie everything together. It's going to take a while, just a bunch of squares and rectangles. I grabbed some photo reference for parts of the city, like there's a little Vegas part over here. And then, just going to be filling in a lot of it as I go along from Google SketchUp that I had for New York skyline and stuff. It's going to take a really long time. um, let's see, where am I? All right, so we're going to, here's the logo placement. This isn't the final logo. This is from a different series, and it's going to take a little, it'll be placed slightly different, but it's still just giving me a general idea of where things are going to go. Now, I'll do this bullet line thing almost last. So these are still just old reference layers on here, which I'll get rid of in a bit. Where am I? Oh, okay, yeah, I remember. In a previous video, you can see me talking about the original sketch that I did for Jagger and for Val. I felt it was a little stiff, so I had to get some photo reference of just somebody standing in a similar position. It just gave me some ideas of, oh yeah, that's right, I forget a coat often pinches in a bit at the waist and then flares out, little stuff like that. And so sometimes I'll trace a photo, sometimes I'll, like you saw me do with the hand on that bowl, and other times I'll just grab reference like this. It all sort of just depends. And Jagger was originally in a dress. You can kind of see here. Get rid of that reference. But I'm ultimately going to put her into the suit. And I do want to mess around with Valentine's head here. I remember not being super happy with his face. It's wobbly. Transform this. Whoops. Got to be on the right layer for this. Transform, flip horizontal. Oh, I might sneeze. Pardon. I don't have a sneeze button like one of those DJs. In fact, I don't have any like editing equipment. Basically, I'm just recording this live, and it just is what it is. I can't edit it or anything. His face is so wobbly. One of the things I didn't like how big his forehead is for his character. Pardon me while I munch away. So I'm just going to grab that. There we go. And you can also see how I should have done my construction underneath it better, the head construction. That stuff like those lines you always see artists do. His head is slightly to the side. So this is where the center of his nose should be, and his mouth. You can see his mouth is off center. And then his eyes. See, this eye is too low. Technically his nose, you're supposed to have the nose lined up with your ears or something like that. I don't remember. So if I had just paid more attention to that, his face wouldn't be all off balance. So I'm going to do two things next. I'm just going to move around his face, a little plastic surgery here. And this eye is too close in because his head is tilted slightly. Actually, I think I moved his head, his eye a little. Okay. It feels better, I think. There you go. Might be a little cockeyed now, though. I don't know. I could move the nose over slightly, but I think it's more just the mouth. All right, now let's see what happens when. Let me get rid of that. Well, real quick, you can kind of see now how the top of his eyes line up with this better. The center of his head and nose comes down. It's a little bit better. I mean, as I'm looking at it, I realize I could keep fixing it, but it's fine. Plus, I'm going to reverse this whole image again. His eyes still look weird. Oops. Look at all this. Look at what ride we've all been together. All of this here. All right, anyway. Okay. Listening to some old electronic music right now. Basement Jacks. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Anyway. His face looks better already, right? There's just something up with his eyes. I think it's just his one eye is a little crooked. But other than that, yeah, it's looking good. So let's get in here. I'm just going to lower the opacity, create another layer. Does anybody else do this? Like just create a billion layers when they're working? I typically don't create this many layers, but I mean, as far as you create a new layer while you're drawing. Not so much layers that you're keeping, but like, yeah, when I'm fixing a face, as you see, I'll create another layer for the eyes and all that kind of thing. It's looking a little dead-eyed here, which works for Mafia stuff, but I'm not sure. That's something I'm going to have to think about in the long run. He shouldn't look unhappy. But I guess he has reasons to, if you've read the story. He's had it pretty rough. Yeah, I think I'm digging it. All right. So erased under that. Let's see if that looks all right. Boy, his eyes look weird to me. Fuck you, Mike. All right, I'll just keep working on it. I don't know why this happens. Sometimes you just struggle with something. Yeah, I just drew his eyes wrong. All right, I think it's like I said, he's very dead-eyed. So let's start over. Hear my cat walking around looking for Taki. She's at the dentist right now, so the cat doesn't know what to do. Let's bring his pupils out more. I think that's a big part of it. Yeah. Do I want some of that? I don't know. Let's look at it kind of black and then see. Yeah, I can tell it's better. But that feels wobbly. So let's just tilt his eye a little bit. I think that's better. So let's erase down here. Let's get rid of this. Create a new layer. Oh, here comes my cat. Yes, Roman. I think this will work. We'll find out. Feels like his jaw is slightly, very, very slightly off there. All right, let's try this. All right, there we go. I can live with that. That is acceptable. Until I look at it later and come back and redraw it all. Yeah. I think she needs some weight to her hair. By weight, I mean like it's just some thicker lines. Give it a sense that A little bit of depth. I don't want to do too much rendering. This is good. It's a little awkward the way his fingers are just hanging, dangling off of there, but again, that's all right. Now it looks like it's like buttoned weird. So let's just do this. Excuse me. That's an ill-fitting suit. Whatever. I don't know what to do with suits. A couple of lines here. Smooth this out a little. All right, I think we're good on them. For now, until I've decided I dislike everything and rework it or come back later, I'm going to lock it and call that layer done. It's also going to be, my favorite part here is them standing on top of the American flag. Yeah. Shut that layer off. I'm going to do the chair now. And I'm just going to do the chair simply by drawing one side of it, flipping it over. Let's bump the stabilization up a bit. It's going to be a fairly ornate chair. Fairly, I mean, for me, you know. A lot of times when I draw furniture, they're basically just silhouettes of furniture. Or they're drawings that are in the shape of furniture. I know all drawings are technically in the shape of what they are, but I mean, like, they more represent furniture than they really truly are. Like, I won't do details for the most part. Probably do some rendering on the chair as well, like some feathering or something. It's looking cool. Sometimes faster or better to just go fast with the line without being super careful. Um, Not always. Sometimes. And if you don't have the confidence to just do that, what's great about working digitally is, all right, just do it again. It's not a big commitment, you know. I never want to put down digital work or devalue it in any way. Um, it's just different than when I work analog or anyone works analog. It's just different. Um, there's just so much that it can do for you digitally. Um, but why not? That's a tool, you know, like a circle template and a ruler. Um, Artists didn't always have those things, and they had to figure out whatever it was. And then when these tools came along, you use them. Try to figure out what to do with this weird shape. Yeah, I kind of like this. It's kind of neat. It's the other way around. And I also might do some, might have to do this in Photoshop, but to grab some fancy brush patterns I have that'll make an ornate uh, cut design inside of all of this. I could do it by hand, or I can have digital work do it for me. Again, nothing wrong with that. I saw again, I've talked a couple times about what I call art cops. People trying to tell other artists what real art is or isn't, or what they're doing is right or wrong. Like they've been assigned some sort of official art badge. They can go around telling people what to do. Uh, I hate that so much. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, like the digital thing, because a lot of these people, um, yeah, they'll use all the digital tools, and then tools that, yeah, kind of do some of the work for you, and then they'll get out there and criticize other people about how they handle stuff, and it drives me nuts. Just mind your own business. If you don't like art, somebody's art, all right, keep it to yourself. Why are you gonna spend your time on something you dislike? I used to do that because I was unhappy. I was either unhappy with myself or where my career was, or frustrated by stuff. So then, you know, you just go and bitch about stuff. So when you see people doing that, that's what's happening. They're going through something and they're just taking it out online on somebody else. So when you see somebody come after you like that, keep that in mind. Well, they're sad and unhappy people. Otherwise, they'd be fine dealing with their own problems, like trying to figure out how to keep your face straight. Or, uh, you know, my problems are like, you know, how do I get that hand to look like a hand? How do I make these sausage fingers look natural? You know, that's what I want to spend my time figuring out my own problems, not, you know, criticizing other people. Again, I like these weird little imperfections. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I can't always explain why an imperfection works and why it doesn't. Also trying to figure out the logistics of a chair and cushions and how it's constructed is weird. As soon as you start thinking about it, none of it, it's like, what? It's very weird. Just doing this bit of outline on a chair. It's just extraneous detail. But it is a cover, and sometimes on a cover you just need extra lines, extra oomph, extra stuff, you know. But not always. All right. All right, so this is good enough. Whoops. So when I flip this, edit, copy, edit, paste, edit, transform, flip horizontal, you might be like, well, Mike, that's just going to look so symmetrical, it will, that's going to take so long. It'll look so symmetrical that it's going to look artificial, boring, or weird. And the answer would be yes, if I had completely finished this side, copied and pasted it over. For what I would think would be the sake of consistency, you know. But by not doing that, I gotta struggle a little bit here to see where it looks most natural. Okay, yeah. So we don't see the other part of the armchair. I'm looking at this section right here. I don't want to do that. That's going to look weird. So it either has to be that. Then it's creating a weird shape down there. A little weird tangent there, but I can survive. I think this is good. What was I saying? Oh, so it doesn't look artificial. I'm still going to do all my rendering freehand on either side. And that's going to give it a naturalness that wouldn't be there if I just simply straight up copied and pasted it on both sides. And you'll see what I mean. Okay. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Just looking where I should delete over here so that it doesn't overlap. Okay, so get rid of that. Now, here we go. Now I got the chair. One second, I gotta check my text message here. Oh, one of my favorite songs on right now. It's by this band called Erasmus from a film called Belgica, Di Mercurio di Me. It's pretty crazy. Maybe at some point in the future, I'll go back and I'll link up the songs that I'm talking about so you can check them out. Normally, I would just select the whole area around them and then just erase all of that. But because this is a 6 cover image, it's just huge. It would take me forever to just select the area outside of them. So, gotta do it this way. There you go. Yeah, I should have paid attention to this. Now I gotta erase it on both sides. Not a big deal. Okay. Oh yeah. Oops. This will be black, black, black. Yeah, so I've got a brush I'm going to use to make this really ornate. But I've got to do it in Photoshop. I think I mentioned it before, like I've got all these other tools, or I don't know how to use these tools very well. Like I always have trouble downloading and loading up brushes and stuff. It's not impossible, I'm just not good at it. Or more actually, to be honest, like it's a matter of taking the time, you know, just seeing how sharp I want. So I kind of want to like a line like that here, I think, as opposed to, well, actually, this is a colder kind of line, and so for the wood, I think something like that works better than this more of a thicker, brushy feel. That makes it feel much more organic. Oh, this is too thin. Which would be great for, let me just start that over again. I just don't want it too tight. Which would be great for sheets, or I don't know, something that felt like more movement in them or more alive. But for this, I gotta lower that gap. But for this, because it's just wood, I want it to be a little colder. I imagine it's some sort of dark red homogeny or homogeny? Is that the word? Kind of wood. I don't know. So you see these little touches here. This is what's going to make it feel a little more organic on both sides of this chair. So even though the basic lines inside of it are all going to line up exactly the same, here's where we'll get a difference on the left and right side. All right. Oh, I gotta erase down here. Back up here. Okay. So now let's go ahead and fill this stuff in. All right. There we go. Flatten those layers. Get a little bit of rendering down here. Okay. Oop. All right, so this cushion here, I'm going to also do some so even though, let me go back again. So this brush that I'm using here is exact same as down here, but I wanted to give this thicker, rounder feel. So I'm not even changing brushes, but I'm just going to apply the pressure differently and really concentrate on bringing the line down and this curvy angle, and it makes the tip slightly different where I want it to be longer, and then here it's flatter, and I don't know, that just gives it a sense, to me, a sense of like depth isn't the word, but a roundness to it. It gives it body, it gives it, yeah, volume. I think this is cool. I gotta be careful. It'd be easy to me to just keep adding little details like this. The other thing I'm going to do is when I add these other ornate lines in here, it's going to be on its own layer and probably keep it in a color hold. All right. Kind of feel like it should have a little bit of rendering here. Yeah, I like it. I dig it. All right, I think we're kind of done with this stuff. I'm going to take a quick break because the dog is outside. I got to bring him in. Bring in the dog. gonna put the chair and them together, especially since I know I did rendering up there on Val. And they don't need to be on separate layers. Some white lines go a long way. Oh, look at that. That was the chair. The chair was behind them and not showing. I'm going to make black in there. Does that work? No. I'm going to have to follow through on the line for the chair. That could be black because it's like right behind her. There we go. Bada bing. I'm from Jersey, I can say that. Alright, yeah, I feel like I could just keep pecking away at shapes and stuff with finding lines. I don't know, maybe it feels like, now, that's why it feels ill-fitting, there's too many. I don't know. Like, I like those wrinkles, but no, I'll leave it for now. Although I'm also thinking maybe. How does this work? I don't know. I'm going to say no. Alright, I think that's it. Alright, I'm going to leave it for now. Let me go get my dog, bring him inside, save this, which will take forever, and we'll be back. We'll do the flag here, and yeah, maybe then I'll bring it into Photoshop and show you what I want to do with the chair. Alright, thanks guys.